The Mossdale Cave is a mysterious cave that is remembered for the gruesome death of 6 men and leaving behind a sad story and a void that cannot be filled. This infamous cave accident claimed the lives of 6 experienced caverns in an unfortunate event of unexpected flooding, and ever since, the question on everyone's mind is what exactly went wrong. The Mossdale Cavern lies in the southern slopes of the Great Whernside, about 4 kilometers north of Coinstone in Wharfdale, Yorkshire Dales, England. It is 5 kilometers north of the market town of Grassington. This cave has a recorded maximum depth of about 300 feet, which was first explored by Bob Leakey of the British Speleological Association in 1941. An adventure-seeking group was about to dive in for an expedition wearing their suit of bravado, but totally clueless of the fate that awaited them. The list of brave cavers who embarked on that adventure were David Adamson, Geoffrey Boyreau, Colin Vickers, John Ogden, William Frakes, Jim Cunningham, John Shepherd, Michael Rayan, and the 2 females in their midst, Colette Lord and Morag Forbes. In the early hours of June 24, 1967, the optimistic group of 10 experienced cave divers met to discuss their imminent expedition into the Mossdale Caverns. The weather forecast for that morning was set to be cloudy with rain and thunderstorms. However, that weekend witnessed an unusual dry weather with not enough rain in Yorkshire Dale. Up to that day, June was considered to have been a dry month. The weather was presumed great by the group, but the forecast was elusive. They divided themselves into 2 groups. The first group consisting of David the leader, Jeff, Colin, John Ogden, William, and Michael, while the second had Jim and John Shepherd, who offered to chaperone the ladies Colette and Morag, David's fiancée. But little did they know that what was about to happen would forever remain a haunted memory in the minds of all. As they entered the cave, all hopes were high. Basically, the group of 10 were having the best day of their lives, as they were about to create history by conquering a cave that has been a monumental mystery to many in the caving community. 3 hours into the expedition, the second group of 4 decided to stop at Rough Chambers. Ogden, being the hilarious one, teased Cunningham and Shepherd for using the ladies as an excuse to chicken out, to which they all laughed, and from that point, they bid each other farewell. As the 4 exited the cave, it was 5 p.m. already. Jim and John drove Colette back to Ingleton, while Morag sheltered in a barn close by. Adamson's group were expected to be out of the cave around midnight, so Morag decided to go back to the entrance of the cave after a few hours. The group of 6 forged ahead, beaming with excitement at the adventures and discoveries that awaited them, with excitement thrilling down their spine. As they crawled and pushed themselves forward in a space hardly fit for an adult, leaving no space for turning around, they laughed and conversed amongst themselves. Then suddenly, they felt the first wave of water trickling in. It wasn't anything new in a normal cave expedition, as water spewing was a common occurrence, but what happened next would forever be the most tragic incident in caving history. The water began to stream in faster than anticipated, rising past their body. For every second it grew stronger, they began to panic with the water level exceeding their shoulders. Considering their predicament, the next logical thing to do would be to find an air pocket, but unfortunately, they were in the most disadvantaged part of the cave, because finding air pockets was almost next to impossible. The adventure they excitedly embarked on became a nightmare in a matter of seconds. As the battle to survive kicked in, they felt the water level rise to their heads, and at that point they realized death had come for them and there was no way out. They fought as hard as they could to survive, but given their location, it wasn't a fair fight. Meanwhile, Morag had earlier told Jim that with the rate at which the rain was pouring, she was scared for her fiancé's group, and she went back to the mouth of the cave a second time. Her fears had become a reality as the mouth of the cave was completely swallowed up by water. While the 6 were battling for their lives, Morag ran 3 miles in panic to call for help, and as calls began for the rescue party, Morag feared the worst and silently prayed they would be rescued alive. The desperate search for the 6 cavers continued in earnest. Tony Waltham, the leader of the rescue team and a potholer, crawled into the abyss to lead the frantic quest for his potholing comrades, fearing the worst but hoping for the best. Sadly, it wasn't long before his unspoken fears became a reality. The long tunnel known as Far Marathon now seemed to be abnormally dry. Although the low ceilings dipped ominously, there was an uncanny silence as the running water had ceased. The next challenge that awaited the brave search team was the 900 feet, 5-hour crawl through Far Marathon, a terrifying passageway just 10 inches high, 2 feet wide, and too tight to allow any passing survivors trying to escape in the opposite direction, and utterly dark. Waltham soon located the first 2 bodies, which were blocking the narrow passage. Unable to crawl past them, in the search for the others, the team was forced to crawl over them instead. A few yards beyond, he found 3 more, however. There was no sign of the 6th person. This scared them and heightened their emotions and senses. Jim Eyre, one of the search team members, called out from behind to Tony Waltham, telling him to go back, they're dead. Not only that, the situation was worsening, as the temporary dam was now visibly trembling against the weight of water. 5 corpses had been located, but where was John Ogden? He was an expert cave diver. Could he still be alive? Perhaps lost or unconscious in some unknown and unexplored part of the caverns? Unfortunately, this was the question on everyone's heart. The rescuers emerged safely, but they could not bring the bodies of the comrades with them. 2 days later, Brian Boardman, a seasoned rescue leader, made one final rescue attempt. At 10 p.m. on Tuesday, 27th June 1967, he led a weary 6-man team, hoping against all odds that Ogden had somehow found a pocket of oxygen inside the flooded caves. Boardman's team pushed beyond the 5 bodies, finding a gold ring big enough to size a finger, and then a boot protruding from a narrow fissure. It seemed that Ogden had somehow managed to reach an impossibly narrow and steep cleft, perhaps deliberately leaving clues for the search teams. He had fought to the last, but his body could not be found. The retrieval of the 5 corpses seemed impossible, so Mossdale Caverns was permanently sealed with concrete poured into the main entrance and a plaque placed at the entrance of the caves with their names engraved on it. Because removing their bodies at the time of the incident would cause damage to the body, the 6 were buried in the cave. A ruling was made that access into the cave was now cancelled, and the cave that was meant to be an expedition for new discovery became a graveyard. With not one but several cave disasters spreading through the decades, cave disasters had proven without count the dangers involved in cave expeditions, and whether or not caused by accidents, they cannot be avoided. Yet the pain of losing a loved one is still as real as breathing. What do you think can be done to curb the number of deaths from cave disasters? Drop your comments in the comment section below. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you are new here. Please also click on the notification button so that you'll be notified anytime I post a new video. Thank you, and bye for now.